Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel, and follow Simple Pest Management on social media to stay updated on all things creepy crawly. I'm Mark Buzz, and I'm excited to be diving into a new topic with you today. I'm joined by Anna Buggs, our pest management guru.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here.
Okay, so you probably know those little black ants that are always showing up in kitchens here in California. We're using some great information from Simple Pest Management to help us all understand these tiny invaders better.
Right.
Why are they so drawn to our homes? What risks do they pose? And how can we manage them?
So what's fascinating here is that these little black ants, about a 16th to a 12th of an inch long and shiny black, are incredibly common throughout California, especially in Southern California and the Bay Area. You're very likely to encounter them.
And they're not just in the garden. Simple Pest Management says they can build nests in soil wall voids and even inside woodwork.
Yeah.
So they can be a lot closer than you think.
That's right. And that nesting behavior is a key reason they end up inside our homes. They're attracted to warm, dry spaces near potential food sources.
So it's not just about finding like a stray crumb or something like that.
Right.
What types of food sources are most attractive to these ants?
They have a real sweet tooth. Honeydew, which is a sugary substance secreted by aphids, is a favorite. They're also attracted to sugary substances in general and even proteins.
So really, if it's edible, they're interested.
Pretty much.
Okay, so is that why they love kitchens and bathrooms so much?
Food is a major draw, but they also need water, which is why moist environments like kitchens, bathrooms, and areas with leaks are attractive to them. And of course, shelter is crucial. Which brings us back to those wall voids and baseboards.
It sounds like our homes can be unintentional and havens.
Right.
But are these tiny invaders actually dangerous?
While they don't sting or bite humans, the real issue is their potential to contaminate food and spread bacteria. Think about where they've been crawling before they show up on your countertop.
Ugh, I didn't want to think about it. And I imagine that a few ants can turn into a much bigger problem if they're left unchecked.
Absolutely. Ignoring a small ant problem can quickly lead to a large infestation, and that's when people start to get really frustrated.
So let's talk about getting rid of them. Simple Pest Management recommends starting with a thorough sealing of all potential entry points.
Yeah, those tiny cracks and crevices around windows, doors, baseboards, and plumbing entry points are like welcome mats for ants. Meticulous sealing with caulk is key.
And I bet managing food is just as important.
It's absolutely crucial. We're talking airtight containers for everything, including pet food, wipe down counters, and clean up spills immediately. Basically, you want to deny them easy access to food and make your home less appealing.
So it's all about being vigilant and consistent with those cleaning habits.
Yes.
What about moisture control?
Leaky pipes can be a huge attractor for ants, so fixing those ASAP is important. Good ventilation in damp areas can also help to make those spaces less appealing to ants.
Those are great tips.
Yeah.
Now, what about those ant bait stations I see advertised? Do they actually work?
They can be very effective. Worker ants carry the bait back to the colony where it eventually eliminates the entire nest. Interestingly, this method utilizes the ant's social behavior to achieve colony control. It's a targeted approach that can be much more effective than simply spraying the ants you see.
That makes sense. So we've got sealing, cleaning, moisture control, and bait stations.
Yeah.
But is there ever a point where we should just call in the professionals?
Absolutely. While DIY methods can be great for minor infestations or as preventative measures, sometimes professional help is the best solution, especially if you're dealing with a large or persistent infestation or if you're just not comfortable tackling it yourself.
That makes sense.
I try.
So let's shift gears a bit. Simple Pest Management's material mentions that ants can actually learn. Is that right?
It is research shows that ants communicate information to each other, passing on knowledge about food sources, potential dangers, and efficient travel routes. It's a remarkable example of collective intelligence.
That's incredible. How does that communication work exactly?
Scout ants venture out to search for food, and when they find something promising, they lay down a pheromone trail, a chemical scent that other ants can follow. It's how they create those straight lines of ants marching towards, say, a forgotten picnic basket.
Ah, so that's the secret behind those ant highways. But how do they learn from each other?
What's really fascinating is that studies have shown experienced forager ants can teach younger ants the most efficient routes to food sources.
So there's a system of mentorship within the colony.
Exactly. This ability to learn and adapt is crucial for their survival. It allows them to adjust to environmental changes and effectively exploit new resources.
This is blowing my mind. I never realized ants were such sophisticated learners. What does this tell us about how to manage them?
It highlights the importance of a holistic approach to pest management. Understanding their behavior, communication, and learning capabilities helps us develop truly effective strategies instead of just spraying and trapping. We can explore targeted and sustainable solutions by disrupting their communication networks or interfering with their learning processes.
That's amazing. We can learn so much from observing these tiny creatures.
Absolutely. And there's so much more to discover about them, their social structures, division of labor, and their ability to navigate complex environments.
It sounds like you could talk about ants all day.
I probably could, but it's important to remember that even though they can be a nuisance in our homes, they play vital roles in the ecosystem. They aerate the soil, decompose organic matter, and even disperse seeds.
So it's about finding a balance, coexisting with them while protecting our homes.
Exactly. And with a little knowledge and understanding, we can achieve that.
Well, you've certainly given us a lot to think about. Let's talk a little more about that social structure you mentioned.
Ant colonies, which can number in the thousands or even millions, are highly organized. Each ant has a specific role to play, contributing to the colony's overall success.
So what are the different roles?
You have the queen, whose primary function is to lay eggs. Then there are the workers, an all-female workforce responsible for everything else: foraging, caring for the brood, and defending the nest.
It was powerful matriarchal society. What about the males?
Their role is limited to mating with the queen. After that, their job is pretty much done.
Wow, talk about a tough dating scene.
But this strict division of labor ensures the colony's survival. What's fascinating is that this complex society operates without any central control.
So there's no single ant running the show. How do they coordinate their efforts?
They rely on self-organization, communicating through chemical signals and pheromones. This decentralized system makes them incredibly adaptable and resilient. If one ant encounters a problem, it can quickly communicate that to the rest of the colony, allowing them to adjust their behavior accordingly.
It's amazing how such tiny creatures can exhibit such complex behavior.
It is. Their ability to cooperate and adapt is one reason why they've been so successful. They've existed for over 100 million years, surviving multiple mass extinction events.
And now they're thriving in our kitchens.
Exactly. But their resilience and adaptability are qualities we can learn from. Their teamwork, communication, and adaptability are great examples of how collective intelligence can lead to success.
That's a powerful takeaway. So we've learned about their remarkable social structure, their ability to communicate and learn, and how those insights can inform our pest management strategies.
We have. And while we've focused on the practical aspects of dealing with little black ants, there's another fascinating aspect to these creatures that I think you'll find interesting.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely curious. Tell me more.
Well, it's their communication methods. They
Yeah.
live in these massive colonies with thousands or even millions of individuals. How do they coordinate all those activities without any central control? It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, you're right. I never really thought about that before. How do they manage that level of complexity?
Well, they communicate primarily through pheromones. Those are chemical signals that ants use to convey all sorts of information, like the location of food sources, the presence of danger, or even recruitment signals for tasks within the colony.
So those ant trails we see are more than just a pathway. They're like a communication system.
Exactly. The type and concentration of pheromones in a trail can convey a wealth of information to other ants. For example, a strong trail might indicate a rich food source, while a weaker trail might signal a less promising one.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like a chemical language they're using to coordinate their entire society.
Right, and it goes beyond just trails. Ants also use pheromones in other ways, like marking territory, identifying nestmates, and even signaling alarm.
So each pheromone has a specific meaning and triggers a particular response in other ants.
That's right. It's a complex system, but it's incredibly efficient. It allows them to adapt to changing circumstances and respond quickly to threats or opportunities.
This is really making me rethink how I view these tiny creatures. It's amazing how much complexity can be packed into such a small package.
It is, and it's a reminder that even the smallest creatures can have a big impact on the world around them. They play crucial roles in ecosystems, contributing to soil health, nutrient cycling, and even seed dispersal.
So while we might be focused on managing them in our homes, it's important to remember their wider ecological significance.
Absolutely, and by understanding their behavior and communication methods, we can find ways to coexist with them while minimizing conflicts.
This has been a truly fascinating deep dive. I've learned so much about these little black ants. What would you say is the most important takeaway for our listeners?
I think it's this: knowledge is power. The more you understand about these creatures, their behavior, their biology, the better equipped you'll be to make informed decisions about managing them.
Well said. And on that note, I want to thank you for sharing your expertise with us today.
It's been my pleasure.
And to all of you listeners out there, thanks for joining us on the deep dive. We hope you enjoyed this exploration into the world of little black ants. Remember, if you're dealing with an ant problem, Simple Pest Management offers effective and environmentally friendly solutions. And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.